Hey friends, this is Dr. Joe Kraft, and this is the take home message. And I don't normally talk about cases in the ER that much, but last night I had a patient storm out of the ER on me without even being evaluated. I must have done something wrong, right? Well, this was a weird situation. A lady came into the ER and she's had a lot of medical issues going on. She's about my age and made some bad decisions and has some chronic health issues. And she was brought into the ER by her daughter, meaning well, maybe frustrated, I don't know. But I got in there even before the nurse had gotten in to do the triage because I had just ordered a bunch of tests and IVs and stuff on some other patients. And so while that was going on, I had time to run into this room and take all the information. So I literally sat down next to the patient. I got paper and pencil and I started writing everything down in order to get as much information as I could to help with the triage. So I'm writing down her past history, trying to write down her meds. She doesn't remember her meds. She has a lot of complicated history. And so I spent literally 20 minutes just sitting there taking history. And then at one point, I realized that she has already been seen by her primary doctor and by her gastroenterologist and had just had tests done, had a lot of lab work done a couple days earlier, was scheduled for more tests, wasn't getting worse. And I was a little bit mystified. I didn't quite know what was going on, what they were hoping to get out of the ER. And so I think my exact words were, I'm reviewing in my mind, what is it that you would like for us to do for you here in the emergency department tonight? And the daughter got very upset and stood up, grabbed her mother, and said, "Come on, Mom, we're getting out of here. I've never been treated so disrespectfully in my life." And I couldn't get her to turn around and change her mind at all. And it caught me off guard, and I think it caught the patient off guard. She didn't understand what was going on, but clearly the daughter had an expectation when she got to the ER of what we would do for her mother. I don't know what that was. Didn't get a chance to find out. But it reminds me to make sure that I ask patients in very careful language what it is that you're concerned about. Because a lot of times patients come in, well, a lot of times when they come in, it's clear what's going on. They've fallen off the roof and their arm's going the wrong direction or whatever. It's clear what happened. But sometimes they come in and they've been dealing with some symptoms for quite some time, and it's not clear what their concerns are. Also, if you factor in that the internet gives you all kinds of crazy diagnoses now with AI and Google and all sorts of things that bring up scary diagnoses, it's very common for me now to ask, what is it that you are worried about so that I can address that? I've learned from my mistakes there. I've had patients that I would see them, I would do this big workup after all this time in the ER, I'd get all the tests back, I'd go in, I would get ready to discharge them, and then they say, well, how do you know it's not a tumor, or it's not whatever? And if I would have known that that's what their concern was at the beginning, I could have addressed that. So this is just a reminder to me and to you, the patients, to make sure that you communicate clearly and maybe even think ahead of time what you want to say. And it's okay to say what you're hoping to have done. If you're hoping to get IV fluids, say that. And if we don't think it's indicated, we'll explain why. But if you don't communicate that, it's going to tend to be a less than satisfactory emergency department visit. So just a quick reminder, communicate clearly, try to think of things ahead of time that you need to have addressed or that you're concerned about, and I'll try to do the same on my side. I hope that helps a little bit. Again, I'm Dr. Joe Kraft, and this is the take-home message. Have a good night.